learning how to create a plan that supports enough structure to ensure that those important things are getting done while also leaving space to absorb life and the reality of life. That's really the sweet spot. Unfortunately, most of the way people approach creating plans for the week acts like nothing, no emergency and no unplanned thing is ever going to happen. And that's why everybody is perpetually behind.
Once in a while, you get the opportunity and the privilege to meet somebody that you're like, you are the yin to my yang. And that is today's guest, Megan Sumrell. So before we dive in to learning about Megan, you're like, well, Heather, who is Megan? I'm going to talk about it, but she's the yin to my yang. She is a time management, what I would consider expert, but she's got soul. But I'm all the way woo talking about, putting your soul on the calendar and helping you with mastering the emotional intelligence. And Megan is the one who creates the planners. But she is also the one that's like, she'll be honest that the way that we've been taught about productivity as women is not in alignment for the average woman. So you're going to need to go check her out. So Megan Sumrell, here's how you spell her name. Megan. Okay, Megan, Sumrell, Sumrell, megansumrell.com. She has an event coming up. It's called the Planapalooza. She's been doing it for like 5-6 years. She talks about it briefly in our episode. If you actually go to my website, Heather Chauvin, CHAUV as in Victor, IN.com /Megan, MEGAN. It's going to show you about her Planapalooza. I've had clients take her Planapalooza before and they get a lot of value out of it. So she's very planning oriented. She shows you her systems, her processes. I think she has a framework, like one page. I don't know. She'll tell you. I just really respect her. Megan is somebody who's like no bullshit. She has the systems and the process. She's very operational focused. And sometimes you just need those people in your life. You need a good planner. You need a good planning system. But I am going to help you become the person that's required in order, the rinse and repeat, the grit, the resilience, the courage to keep going and become that person. But there is a stigma. And the stigma is that as women, we're lazy. We could just wake up earlier, go to bed later, and this list should get done. Like we could do it. You know how many times I've said to myself, well, there's a gun to my head. Of course I get it done. Literally, I say that almost every week. And I'm like, but there isn't. And that is not in alignment with how you want to feel, Heather. So Megan and I talk a little bit about that, the bro culture of productivity. And what I want to propose to you is time management is essential. I am not I have a framework called energetic time management. I have all the processes, frameworks. I'm not a systems person. I'm not a process-oriented person, but I know that I need systems and processes. It's not something that brings me joy. A spreadsheet does not bring me joy. Asana does not bring me joy. Okay. So when people are like, I love this, I'm like, this feels like death to me. But I am smart enough to know that having a planning structure is essential for my mental health. And if I want to accomplish a goal, I need to have some form of structure. And I don't need to be perfect with the structure. Like my ETM process that I teach people, I go through seasons where I'm not following it to a T. And I'm not religiously planning out my days and my weeks like I used to, but I'm a different version of myself. But one thing that I've really, really, really had to learn, I remember I'd open my eyes in the morning, whether it was with an alarm or not, and instant anxiety. I already felt like a failure when I opened my eyes, like I have so much to do today. But I'm here to tell you, most of that anxiety was false anxiety. And it was false anxiety because I was applying pressure on myself that I needed to do it a certain way or I was a failure. And I find with high performers, there's this self-punishment around like you're already behind when you wake up in the morning, but that's not even the goal. The goal should be freedom. I'm always asking people, how do you want to feel? They're like free, alive, aligned. And then you have a belief that if you have a day with nothing on your calendar, you are a failure, or you need to like clean your house from top to bottom. And that is false. That is not even truth. So I am here to show you by how I live that the more responsibility you have, the lighter you should feel. The bigger your company gets, the more money you make, the more people you have to manage or lead, the older your children get, and the more responsibility and bullshit that they have, the lighter you should feel. And when I say that, and you're like, absolutely not, Heather, that is an internal state, okay? You use planners, systems, and processes to plan your time. But that is 100% an internal state and an energy management challenge. And there's a new way to be in the world. So go check out Megan Sumrell's Planapalooza. I highly recommend it. It's her and a whole bunch of experts, but she also teaches live her framework. Huge fan. But you can check it out at heatherchauvin.com/Megan, Megan. I believe it's in October. Yeah, just calm the fuck down. You got one precious life. Let's live it. Let's feel good. Dive in. Go find Megan Sumrell, Megan Sumrell, Sumrell. If you're following me, go follow her. She is a gem. Megan, welcome to Emotionally Uncomfortable.
Thank you. I've been looking forward to this.
You and I chat often-ish.
Yes.
Not weekly, but often-ish. And our love of quote unquote time management has brought us together. And I am so curious. You've been on the podcast before. I've been on your show, but I'm so curious your relationship to time now versus maybe 10 years ago, 20 years ago. Because I find, and I'm sure you hear this a lot too, like the obsession of I need more time, I need more time. Give me the planner, give me this, give me this. So yeah, let's start there with the whole time.
Yeah, you start with something easy right out of the gate. So I would say, I mean, my relationship with time has definitely changed. Younger, meaning a long time ago, Megan definitely had a time was something to conquer kind of a relationship. It was a lot more antagonistic, if you will. It was like a problem to solve, a thing to maximize. And I think so much of it is wrapped up in, I'm a Gen Xer through and through, where essentially your worth was kind of dictated by your productivity, right? Rest was lazy. Make every minute count. You don't sit around. Always got to be doing things. And so I didn't realize how much that had just permeated my life and really followed me into adulthood when I was, kind of climbing the corporate ladder. Now in my 50s, to me, time has become this beautiful resource that now I get to decide where to leverage it and how to spend it. Now it feels more like a currency, but not a currency that's limited, just kind of this flow state of currency where I always get to change and shift. Now, I am a human. So yes, are there days that kick my ass and it felt like I lost the race? Of course, but that's just part of being human. But now I feel like I'm in relationship with time instead of fighting it or trying to beat it.
Yeah, in relationship to time. Do you find the older you get, you respect it more in the sense?
Yeah, I value it in a way that, it's not that morbid. I don't know how much time I have left, but there is that, wow, like time is precious. It isn't infinite. And
Mhm.
so I just have a different value on it. It has a different purpose for me than it used to.
Do you think it's true that, okay, so this is what I'm experiencing is the cultural lie. So you have this like productivity culture lie of like, you got to fill every nook and cranny and get shit
Yep.
done. And then children, let's throw children into the mix. This cultural lie that they get a certain, they turn a certain age and it gets easier. And then that's when your calendar is going to get lighter. That has not been my experience. I feel like I have more quote unquote control over certain things and wisdom and experience so I can think about it differently. But
But there's
people who
not
are
less
like,
stuff competing
I
for your time.
know.
No, there
Why do people think
100%
that?
isn't. I think I always thought it's like there's always we're looking for this finish line of, well, when I get here, then I can
Mhm.
have those hobbies back, right? Well, then you get there and there's something waiting for you. So, my daughter just turned 16 a couple days ago. So we're kind of looking at these next 2 years before, college,
Mhm.
as it'll be here before we know it. And older Megan, well, younger Megan kept thinking, oh, well, as soon as she turns 18, like I'll have all this time in the world. Well, now after working with so many women that I already know, no, I won't. It's just going to be different demands on my time. And so if we keep waiting for that, whatever that is for you to finally have the time to, it's never going to happen. And so the sooner we learn to build ourselves back into our lives and our time, the better off we are.
So when we're talking about our relationship to time, and then of course there is the reality of structuring time and operationally, which I know you're a huge fan of.
Yes.
Where does the duality of that come in? So I see there's like a spectrum, right? People who are like, I don't want to be structured, and then overly structured. Yeah, curious your thoughts about that.
Well, I've got my sign in my office that says structure is freedom. I'm a huge fan of structure, but
Mhm.
not in the way most people think about it. And so I used to be on the way extreme of it, which is really dating back to, how people teach the old school version of time blocking. Every minute of every day is blocked with something that is making you productive, right?
Mm.
So from 9 to 10, I do this, from 10 to 10, right? And so there's that version where literally every minute of your day usually in service to some role that you're playing, whether it's employee, wife, mom, caregiver, daughter, whatever it is. I believe that there is a beautiful way to still have the right amount of structure in your day to ensure that the most important things are getting done in a stress-free way. And in order to do that, you have to have some level of planning, right? If you're just winging it all day, every day, you're never going to have that 2-hour block of time that you desire to be working on something important to you. But the way I approach planning our weeks and our months is making sure that not every minute of every day is proactively spoken for in something that you're planning on doing it, because life does not leave you alone. There's new stuff coming at us all the time. Things happen, sick kids happen, sick pets happen, new emergencies crop up. And so learning how to create a plan that supports enough structure to ensure that those important things are getting done while also leaving space to absorb life and the reality of life, that's really the sweet spot. And unfortunately, most of the way people approach creating plans for the week acts like nothing, no emergency and no unplanned thing is ever going to happen. And that's why everybody is perpetually behind or staying up late or waking up early or, deciding what hack they need to figure out today on how to get more done.
What I've observed is the shame and pressure women apply to themselves of like, it's a me problem. And I'm like, if you can get to a neutral state and see it as data and go, if your time at minimum, and I'd love for you to like explain your process and how you do that, or we'll send people to your Planapalooza, which is, I've had amazing feedback from my clients who have done anything in your world with planning and structure and all of that. But what I've observed, I'm like, if you can just see and begin to laugh at your to-do list or your task list and apply critical thinking skills,
Yeah.
and then you have this panic of like, I don't have time to get all this done. And I'm like, that should be data. That should be data, not a judgment. And I know you have an opinion, and we'll get onto your process in a second, but can we just talk about the 5 a.m. club for one hot minute? Because when I first started my journey and my kids were younger, I was like, you got to get up earlier. You got to stay up later. And you kind of just hinted around about that because people just think less of me, more time to get shit done equals success. And then it becomes incredibly toxic.
Yeah. And especially if you're subscribing to the 5 a.m. club, right, where you wake up at 5 a.m. and everybody's doing this set number of things, right? This rinse and repeat quote morning routine. But then there's also the how do you end your day so that you're maximizing your productivity at both ends? What always gets sacrificed is your sleep. And so if you are not rested, especially as a woman, especially the older we get, right, through perimenopause and menopause, I don't care how, like, what hacks you're trying to put in place. Your body simply can't produce the way, we don't have the clarity. We just are, it's science that we just can't operate the way that we did in our 20s. Yeah. And I am very passionate about telling women never, ever, ever try and implement a prescribed way to start your day that someone else is telling you how to do it. Now, that is probably a great way for that human being to start their day. And so one of the things I love to teach women how to do is how to create a morning routine that's based on your morning personality type and the realities of your morning, right? And the great news is, I mean, there were seasons of life where my morning routine was 10 minutes long. That's all I had without sacrificing my sleep, but learning what is the right way for me to spend those 10 minutes to serve myself before I served others completely changed the outlook of the entire day. And so there's this misconception that in order to have a successful day, you've got to have this 45 to 90 minute prescribed morning routine with the meditation and the yoga and the exercise and the journaling and this and that. That might be great for someone, but there's a million right ways to start your day to serve you, and learning how to filter out the noise of no thanks, that's not for me. Like, one of the things I do in my morning routine is several of the New York Times puzzle games. I know so many people who are like, that's my definition of hell. Like, why would you want to be doing a logic puzzle at 5:45 in the morning, right? Not a good idea for them. It's a total relaxer for me. I love that stuff. So this is why I'm like, when people ask me, what's your morning routine? I don't even want to tell them, because I'm like, I don't want you to think you should do mine, because it may not be a great fit for you.
Every seasoned, and I'm using air quotes, expert who've put in the 10,000 hours is like, I'm not going to tell you what I eat. I'm not going to tell you the workouts I do. I'm not going to show you my calendar, because you're going to want to template it. And what I just heard you say is you have to like listen to yourself and go, does that work for me? What parts work and what parts don't? Which takes a lot of like, I value myself enough. I trust myself enough to co-create with this tool to then find a middle ground for myself. And I think that's where we're getting lost in this like wellness productivity culture. With anything is like, oh, this is good for me, so I'm just going to slap it on my to-do list. And I'm like, you're doing the journaling, you're doing the meditation, but like, are you just trying to check a box off, or are you like, the embodiment of that? So where do people?
I love how you said templatizing, right? I love that word where you're like, yeah, it's just, here's a template. Let me do what you're doing. Yeah. A successful tool, in my opinion, or system is one where the steps that you follow are the same for everybody, but the inputs are uniquely yours and the outputs are uniquely yours. And so that's my approach to teaching planning is I will teach you a step-by-step system of, okay, first we have to analyze your commitments. Okay, now we have to analyze that, but your inputs are yours, meaning the things competing for your time are going to be totally different than mine. I will teach you how to prioritize, but I'm not going to tell you what to prioritize. Only you can know that. And so I always give people that word of caution. If anyone is trying to teach you the what and give you a prescribed, or to your word, templatized output of this is exactly how your week should look,
Yeah.
that's probably a red flag, right? Because their inputs and constraints are not the same as yours.
Hmm. How long have you spent on unlearning, like deprogramming your brain around time?
I mean, I'm still working on it. I don't know if it ever is done, but I would say I am a significantly different person today than 10 years ago, for sure.
Do you ever notice? I observe this within myself, and I've seen it in other people when we're beginning something, whether it's a system, a process, and this like panic of like, if I don't get this right, I'm a failure. And I'm like, it's this rinse and repeat. Don't quit. Just like nutrition, time is something you're going to have to look at for the rest of your life. And there's seasons for everything. So when people come into your world, Megan, where do they begin? Like, what are the systems, the processes that you kind of teach them so that they're feeling more in
Yeah.
control?
Where I start people is typically backwards from where a lot of other people teaching the pragmatic side of time management and planning are. Most people do what I call a top-down approach, where they kick it off with, what goals do you have? Where do you want to be? Like, where do you see yourself 5 years from now? We start like way up here, and they teach fantastic processes for identifying a goal, for breaking it down, getting it into actionable steps. But the problem, if we start there, if you are drowning in day-to-day life,
Yeah.
and you go invest all this time and energy in creating all these plans and goals that you want to achieve, but tomorrow morning you already know the day is going to kick your ass, like, you're wasting your time. So this is why I meet people where they are today, and I do what I call a bottom up. So we start with, we need to get your days and weeks under control so that you know how to have better boundaries with your time, how to put kind of some protective stuff into your calendar, and how to learn to let some things go, and how to create the space so that when you're ready to now say, now let's have a conversation about what I want out of my life, now you have a system and a calendar that supports you being able to proactively protect time to be working on that. Because goal setting is a colossal waste of time if you don't have control over your day-to-day life.
I love that. Yeah. And
Because all
you're
it does is
almost
make you feel like a failure. You're like, I have all these
well,
goals and I can't do it. Of course not, because
yeah.
you're trying to get 30 hours of work done in an 8-hour window every single day. Like, we have to fix that first.
Well, I was just thinking about that. I'm like, because it just creates this perpetual cycle of you can have the desires, right? And I always, when people are like, what's your 5-year plan? I'm like, the version of me thinking today about what I'm going to be or where I'm going to be in 5 years is probably way smaller than where I'm actually going to be. But if you're solid and you're gaining momentum in your day and then continuously creating that space for like the next level, the next download, the next whatever you want to invest your time, you're going to be able to have the sustainable change. Do you think a lot of like, there's educational gaps? I'm sure you see this, like people have to have these little aha moments like in your process or your structure. It's getting people to unlearn the all or nothing thinking.
Definitely. There's the all or nothing thinking of the list was either done or not, therefore I either won the day or I didn't, right? Which
Right.
is complete nonsense. The biggest aha moment I think most women have when we get into the weeds of like, why are they so overwhelmed day to day, is there is a tremendous lack of awareness of just how much of their week is already spoken for when they wake up on Monday morning, that doesn't show up on a traditional calendar, right? Because most people, their calendars today just have the appointments, right? The commitments to others, the doctor's appointment, the meeting, the whatever. And then separate from it is this huge list. And somehow in between all of the commitments on the calendar, this list is magically going to get done. Well, what's often missing is there's usually easily 8 to 15 hours of stuff that doesn't show up on a traditional task list that people are doing. I call them your recurring tasks, that are things that need to and have to get done, that are consuming significant parts of your day on a repeat basis. But because it's not on a task list and it's not on a calendar, they just have no awareness of really what their capacity is at the start of every week. And so usually when we go through the exercise of identifying what is that recurring weekly task list or even daily, things like checking email, right? That doesn't usually show up on a task. It's like, oh, I'll just do it throughout the day. And
Right.
so when we start to uncover both work and home life, how much of your time is truly not available for you to be getting stuff done? That's the big, well, no wonder I can't ever hit the finish line. It's like, yeah, you never were. So now that we have this awareness, now how do we create plans that create efficiencies with our time, that optimize things, that maybe allows us to let go of some stuff for a while? But it's almost, I use the analogy a lot with banking. It's having that, oh, you need to have a way to understand how much is in my bank account at the start of the week, right? Because it's way less than what you think it is.
Yeah. And the visual representation, like money is more of a tangible
Yep.
thing. And so people, I'm not going to say respect it more because that's not necessarily
No, but you can
truth.
see it clearer because it's a number, right? You can log in and see something and you're transacting with it.
Yeah.
But just as, let's say you got paid on the first of the month and that was all your money for the month, but you have bills not going out to the 15th. Well, hopefully you've got some good money management skills to know, okay, no, I don't actually have all that money to spend because some of it's going to the mortgage and the gas and the electricity and all of that. We have to learn to have that same awareness with our time. No, I don't actually have the 30 hours that my calendar is showing. I may only have 12.
I find this fascinating because I've been doing a lot of this work with my kids. They're 13, 16, 21. And I have a few of my oldest son's friends under my arms that I've become mentors to. And we talk about time management. I'm using air quotes, money management. And culturally, we've just never been taught these skills, right?
Correct.
And I know I'm sure you had similar conversations, but it's like, I figured it out. And I'm like, I don't actually think people are failing at life or not hitting their goals. It's these invisible skills that we've never been taught. And then somehow we outsource the power, like, oh, my kids' schools will teach them these skills. And I'm like, these are life skills. And to be honest, a lot of them are role modeled. And then you get midlife or you start a business and then you start acquiring these skills because you're like, oh shit, I don't know how to solve that problem.
Yeah.
So I need Megan in my life, or I need this money person in my life, or I need this life fulfillment, relationship, communication, boundary person in my life. I'm like, these are all invisible skills. There's nothing wrong with us. It's just a skill gap.
Yeah. And for women in particular, I see it all the time. Like, I know I should be able to I know I should. I'm like, stop, stop, stop. If no one ever taught you how to read, would you walk around going, God, what's wrong with me? Of course not. You'd be like, hey, I was never taught how to read, right? And we would remedy that. And I told them the same thing. Time management is not something you're born with or born without. I was not born with that gene. I am here to tell you I was a hot mess, world's best procrastinator, last minute everything. It is a skill that anybody can learn if they're being taught in a reasonable way. And so recognize, to your point, we're not teaching in elementary school, middle school, high school, college. If you're lucky enough to get a job where maybe they invest in some program for you, you might learn some of it. But these are two fundamental skills. This is actually a reason why one of our newer courses at the Pink Bee is called Top for Students. So it's meeting that middle school, high school age kids where we're teaching the basics of time management for them as they transition from single classroom, one teacher to 7 teachers, 7 classrooms, 7 different schedules, extracurriculars, all of that, with the hope of the sooner we can get these skills into these kids' hands, right? Now we're setting themselves up for a lifetime of success. And since you were talking about money, there's a newer book that it's what I'm teaching my daughter. It's called The Money Habit by Mike Michalowicz. He's the founder of Profit First. And he has now built a book for just personal finances. I'm like, I think his approach should be taught to every child in high school, college before they enter the real world. It's a beautiful way of kind of building a really positive relationship with money.
You know, what's interesting is our work is very complementary, and on paper or even my personality, people are like, you're highly creative, you're this, you're adventurous, you're all the things. Growing up, because I wasn't taught a lot of structure or skill, I would say I would rebel against the planner. I would push against it. Now I'm not like my identity is not in my to-do list or my calendar. Sure, yeah, things need to get done. And sometimes there's little push deadlines that you're like, I gotta focus and do the damn thing. But I'm no longer this like chaotic mess, and loving that structure. And I actually had a moment, and it reminded me of what you said about the money habit. I had a moment with my 16-year-old where he was like, I think there's something wrong with me, Mom. And I'm like, oh, we're nipping that. He's
Yeah.
like, I'm like, we're nipping that because you're going to form this whole identity. And I was like, what his behavior is telling me is I need a skill. I need a skill. And I was like, okay, we're going to develop a skill. Sure. If there's actually something going on, we will get you the support that you need as well. But let's observe skill development first rather than going all the way to worst case scenario as a parent, because they're triggering those parts of us. So, and yes, it's okay if you don't have your money shit together. You can co-create and learn with your children. We can learn all of these skills.
100%. Yeah. 100%. It's just, this is a fundamental, both of those, money and time skills, are things that will fundamentally change the rest of your life. And when you were talking about, your identity is not in your calendar, I like to think about the stuff that's important to me, like the traditional tasks, are represented on my calendar and protected to ensure I can get them done. But my identity is in all the white space on my calendar, right? The Saturday where there's nothing planned or scheduled to go do whatever the heck I want. And this is where for the very creatives, I hear this all the time, like, I'm a creative spirit, I'm an artist, I can't plan anything because I don't, I need to be able to be free to go to the museum for the day and get inspired. And whenever they say that to me, I'm like, great, when was the last time you did that? Mm-hmm. And the answer is either I haven't, or it might be like, oh, well, I did that last week. And I'll say, great, were you fully present, or were you subconsciously stressing out about all the things that you felt like you should be doing instead of being there?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I said, so this is where that right level of structure comes in. The freedom is in that when you're not being, quote, productive, you are doing that guilt-free. And that's really hard to rewire, especially for my Gen X ladies out there, like resting and having fun without any guilt. Like that took me years, and I still catch myself. My husband will always laugh at me because I like a lot of downtime on the weekends, whereas weekends, he's just a busy guy. He likes to tinker. He fixes things. He's always got projects or whatnot. And I might be watching a movie on a Saturday afternoon, and I'll hear him walk in, and my instinct is I better jump up off the couch. Not because he is telling me I need to be doing anything. He doesn't care what I'm doing. But I'm still breaking that habit of, I haven't earned this, right? I should be doing something. And I'll catch myself. I'm like, Megan, stop it. You've done enough. This is your time to rest. Enjoy it.
Yeah. It's that self-leadership. And then just sitting with the discomfort long enough to like allocate it mentally and be like, okay, what is this? Oh, interesting. Like I've caught myself. Yeah. I think we're all there as humans, and it is like the rewiring, the unlearning, every interaction. I'm sure you see this all the time, whether it's with clients or other females in your life. Like you see the old version of you popping up and you're like, well, I know where she's going to be in 10 years, burnt to a freaking crisp. And, I can see what's going to happen when she has children or when her kids get to a certain age. And it's like, we're all human trying to figure this out. We use structure, we use templates, we use tools as guides, not as like, what am I trying to say? You understand what I'm saying. Like, it's just co-create with these parts of yourself, not I know nothing. This thing is going to be the thing that saves me. No, it's going to give you a golden nugget. It's going to point you in the right direction.
It's hard to deprogram yourself when there's so much content out there telling you otherwise, right? Telling you to get up early, to make every minute count. Oh, just push really hard for 5 years and then it will be. I mean, these messages are coming at us all day long. So it's like we have to get some kind of filter built in to see it for what it is and go, great, not for me.
Yeah. You know what I love about you? You can say less because I watch how you move in the world and you embody your work, Megan. And that's what I love about you.
Thank you for saying that. That's, I think, what I'm most proud of is that everyone on my team, everybody here, we practice and live what we teach to the fullest.
And I have heard people say that about your team, which is it is so unchaotic. And there are, people say they want calm. And I'm like, prove it. If you truly want calm and you want to hit a revenue goal, you want to hit an impact goal, you want to whatever's on the other side of that, it is possible. But your identity and your life experience shows that you actually don't know how to think like a person who is going to create calm, organized, quote unquote, chaos, but being solid in it. And I'm telling you right now, what you think you want versus what you actually want are two different things, because you will be on a healing journey while you're putting these systems and structures in place.
1000%. Yes.
Yeah.
And it's funny. This week in particular is a week that I keep telling everyone, I'm like, this is a super stressful week. And I planned for it to be this way because my daughter is gone at a sleepaway camp and I work very little in the summer. So we're recording this still in the summer months. So with her gone, I was like, all right, we have some deadlines that I want to hit. Now, this is all stuff that doesn't need to be in place until October. We're talking here in July, but I want it all done at the end of July because that's how we roll. So I'm laughing because I was talking with a friend yesterday and I was like, I don't really have time. I'm like, I got a super, really stressful week. She's like, what does a stressful week mean to you? And I had to pause for a minute and I was like, well, it means I work all the way till 4. It's hard. I'm used to shutting off at 2. And I'm telling you what, I'm having to dig deep to pull those extra 2 hours of work every day. She's like, so when you say you're done at 4, what do you mean? I'm like, well, my daughter's off at camp. So my husband and I are going to a different restaurant every night. So my definition
she's like, that's my dream right now.
That sounds like a calm week. And I'm over here going, man, I'm having to dig deep this week and really work hard. But that didn't happen overnight.
So I'll tell you, so there's somebody on my team. We've been together. She's been on my team for 10 years. She's the opposite of me. She's so organized, project management, black and white, She'll probably be listening to this.
Kind of people.
100%. You guys are BFFs. And so she has complete time flexibility because she hits her KPIs and she does it all. So she's like, I'm taking this time off. She's like, yeah, I'm still available. She's like, but I'm going to get my shit done before I go. And we were like a match made in heaven. Mentally, I'm like, you got to make her proud, Heather. And I was like, but listen, if you get your shit done, you get that quote unquote break as well. And so when I say I dig deep, I'm like, it's just a push moment. It's just a little push. If you're running a race, you're like, okay, focus, dig deep. You're not going to die. But people live every day, 365 days a year like that. And I just had this moment with someone else. I was actually getting a massage and she's like, giving me this unsolicited advice, which is the biggest trigger for me. Cause I was like, just please stop talking. Just give me the massage and don't tell me to fucking rest. I'm going to lose my shit. And then I said, what do you think I do? From sunrise to sunset? She goes, you look so busy online. And I'm like, I'm not even online. Everything is pre-scheduled that you see on my feed. And I'm not showing you breakfast, lunch, and dinner on stories. And even just pay attention because even sometimes if people are showing stories, that's not day of, and you have no evidence that that person is sharing something. It's this perception and story that we tell ourselves that looks like a lot of work. But like you said, Megan, we're recording this in July for potential October. So pay attention to what you see, the stories you tell yourself, and how you can actually create ease in your life. So Megan, that said, what do you have for the wise women that are listening? Where can they learn more about you? What do you got going on?
Yeah. So if you're a social media person, I'm very easy to find at Megan Sumrell on Instagram. That's where I'm most active. But we are gearing up for our huge, this will be our sixth. Am I getting that right? It's either fifth or sixth. I get confused. Annual Planapalooza this October. So it's the only time I teach live this annual planning process. And it is really the only workshop I've seen that's going to guide you through a process of kind of getting your roadmap for 2027. We do it in October because we know November and December are nuts. And in January, you've got a holiday hangover. So let's get it out of the way in October. But instead of, I promise you, we're not going to start with what are your goals for 2027. We actually start with what's the reality of your life for 2027, right? What's the reality of your capacity? We create a roadmap highlighting all of that to then say, what's now available for me and what's going to be important for me. So it's a really unique approach to getting your plan together for 2027. We spend 2 days together live. And you get all of the recordings as well. So if you can't join live, it comes with a 100-page digital workbook. It's, again, people come to this year over year over year. So I believe you have your own link to be able to share about that. So I'm going to toss that in the show notes because I know you've been to Planapalooza before as well. So that is where we actually start prepping for this in February every year for our live event in October.
I'll talk about it in the intro and I'll verbally say the URL so they'll know about that. Go follow Megan. Can you also tell them the name of your podcast?
Yeah. So if you're listening to this, you're probably a podcast listener, obviously. The podcast is called Work-Life Harmony. We are about to hit our 7-year anniversary there on the show. We keep things really all centered around the topic of time management, organization, and productivity for women, with the idea that you're going to learn something you can go put into action at the end of every show.
I love it. I had a thought and then it left. So it's showing. I just wildly respect. Oh, that's what I was going to say. I've had a lot of clients go through the Planapalooza and your planning process and absolutely love it. And they, like you said about the Planapalooza, they're like, I attend every single year. I get some golden nuggets. I implement it into my life. And I truly believe it's a type of person in the sense of you are somebody that wants, in my case, to feel more alive and free and energized and connected in your relationships. Like you want that precious time with your family and you just want to feel really proud of yourself. And I don't necessarily obsess over the tools or the structures or the framework. It's more of like, who do I want to be on the other side or what's going to help me get there? So like you said, whether it's you, whether it's, a Mike Michalowicz book, you're talking about Profit First, again, super structured and yet not rocket science. And it's these little tiny things of habits and behaviors and who you become along the way. So Megan, thank you for just number one, being you. And as somebody who's in this, I'm not going to call it a fight, but like the consistent journey of building.
Feels like a fight.
Sometimes it does because you're literally swimming upstream and trying to teach women. If you pivot slightly, you will have more. You will get to where you want to go quicker. Just calm the fuck down. You're going to be okay. Let's do it together. We got this. And we're breaking generational patterns. We're going against the way our moms taught us, our grandmothers, our great-grandmothers. And like, honestly, we can have this tiny little convo together, but then we go out into the world, instantly you're going to be like, they need my planning system. They need my planning system. So if it's in you, go follow Megan. I highly suggest you attend her Planapalooza. And just thank you for being you.
Thank you.